Okay, today I thought it could be fun to do something a little different, a little exciting, something with a little pizzazz. And I thought I would combine two of my main interests, which are reading and also music, pop culture, all that stuff. And I thought it would be fun to do a little comparison, recommendation situation of main pop girls as books slash authors, because I was thinking about it and I feel like there are a lot of analogies. And I feel like sometimes like on Reddit or something, there will be threads that are like main pop girls as chairs or like main pop girls as like cities. And I thought that's really funny. Why can't I do it with books? And I can, so I'm going to. And I have my computer here. I'm not gonna like screen record it as I do it. I think I'll just put it in the video like in post. So if it's like weird, I apologize, but let's get into it. So number one, I thought we have to start with like the, the mother, the biblical originator, the Eve, if you will. So for that, we're gonna go with Madonna and Agatha Christie. And I tried to choose really good photos of the pop girls. And also I personalized the fonts because I just want to show you guys how much work I put into this. But don't ask me like specific questions about it because I was kind of just going off a vibe. And I feel like this like needlework tapestry vibe fit the vibe of Madonna and Agatha Christie because, needlework was originated probably in, I don't know, the like 1300s. And that's a similar era to when these pop girls were thriving. And I put a few bullet points for each slide just to, synthesize the main points I was thinking about. So first of all, this photo is so good of Madonna. Like this is the Ray of Light era. She just is glowing, maybe because her skin is literally fluorescent yellow, but she looks amazing. And the Agatha Christie book I tried to choose a book for each. I just chose Sparkling Cyanide because it's probably my favorite Agatha Christie book, but whatever, kind of irrelevant. So my bullet points, old but relevant, right? Okay, Agatha Christie, old, undeniably old, actually dead. Madonna, not dead, thank God, knock on wood, but undeniably old as well. However, relevant. I feel like Agatha Christie's novels have regained a ton of, or not regained, they've held a ton of relevance over the years because a murder mystery I feel like never really goes out of style. And she kind of, I don't know if she like originated it, I don't think she did, but she definitely was the most successful in it. And I feel like Madonna, career-wise, I don't think she's ever been like an originator of trends or like a total trailblazer in terms of like breaking ground, but she's always been a really good communicator by like taking what trends are coming up and kind of perfecting them and like spreading them to the masses like very successfully. So I feel like that is something that they both share, where they took something and they kind of popularized it and spread it successfully and, of high quality to the masses. And then I also put peaks and valleys because they both have peaks and valleys in their careers. Like sometimes I'll read an Agatha Christie book and I'll be like, oh, her rent was due this month. Like she, like the label, if you will, was knocking at her door. They were like, Agatha, we need another novel. We're going to go under next month. And she was like, okay, give me 1 week. And then she like whipped something out. And while I'm not saying Madonna albums were whipped out in 1 week, there are definitely some albums that are of lower quality than we deserve from a Madonna album because she has some serious like career highs. Like she has some amazing albums and she has some albums that are less than amazing, I'll just say. Okay, 2. Kylie Minogue and Eve Babitz. And this kind of made more sense originally because the first time I did this, I had Madonna as Joan Didion. And then I thought about it more and I was like, that doesn't really make sense. I'm going to switch her to Agatha Christie. But for this specific part, it would have made more sense to have her as Joan Didion because Joan and Eve kind of compared a lot. And I feel like Kylie and Madonna are kind of compared a lot as like the American Queen of Pop and like the UK, Australia Queen of Pop. And then, so I put younger but still kind of old because Eve was younger than Joan, but she's still kind of old, and Kylie's younger than Madonna, but still kind of old. I feel like this is coming off like a little ageist. Like there's more to it than the fact that they're just, older. But I feel like it's important because like to maintain relevancy as a pop girl when you're like, in your 50s, in your 60s is really a commendable thing. And I think that's less commendable as an author. Not that it's not commendable, but I feel like when you're a pop girl, like so much of your career is kind of based on your appearance, or like maybe it shouldn't be that way, but I feel like it is. So to maintain relevancy when you're getting older, or like when, general public kind of throws you like to the side as a pop girl, which I feel like is not at that old of an age, it's really amazing to be still popular and successful and doing good things when you're in your, later years. So that's why I put that there. Fun. I feel like Eve Babitz, like she was having fun in her books, There's this one review on Goodreads by Lucy Dacus, which is why I remember it, of I think this album, Slow Days Fast Company, or not this album, this book, I'm getting them all mixed up, where she says, Joan Didion if she was a hot slut. And I don't necessarily feel like that is a good comparison to Kylie Minogue and Madonna, because Madonna, you know, famously very sexually out there. But I feel like Kylie was having fun, you know, like in the 2000s. I feel like Madonna, sometimes you can tell like she takes herself and her art like very, very seriously. And sometimes that can be like, you know, a good thing, and sometimes it's a detriment. But I feel like Kylie, like she was just always like having fun, you know, she's kind of like the little sister of like pop princess, you know? And then also I said pitted against counterpart. So I feel like Eve and Joan, I don't know if they were really pitted against each other like in their prime, but there was that book that came out that I read like a chapter of and I didn't like, so I might continue that at another point. But yeah, and I feel like Kylie and Madonna are like compared a lot as like pop's two main girls, at least of a certain time. So that's why I put that there. And then also I chose this photo because I thought it was funny. I was like looking up photos of these girls and I thought it was really funny, like what makes news nowadays. So I took a ton of screenshots of like funny titles. So this says, Kylie Minogue nails Western style at Heathrow Airport. And it's posted by Daily Mail Online, and it made me laugh because she is nailing that Western style, you know? Yeah, I thought this font and color was a good pick. Okay, moving on. Okay, I think this one makes a lot of sense. We have Dua Lipa and Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I chose this for a few reasons. First of all, this photo is amazing. Dua Lipa looks incredible here. And that is kind of the first point, is vacation queens. I feel like Dua Lipa's thing is that like, she's like in the studio, like, okay, this is maybe like not like true, but like I feel like online people are like, oh my god, she's in the studio like 3 weeks of the year, and then she's like touring for, actually that's not true, she tours a lot, but I feel like the thing is like she's a vacation queen, like she's always on vacation, and like vacationing is her job. And I feel like I read some like Substack article about like leisure as a job, and like the cover photo of that was Dua Lipa, because like leisure is a job, you know, which isn't to say that she's not working, like she is always on tour, I feel like. But anyway, I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid is also like a vacation queen. Like her books are great on vacation, and then maybe when you're in a more serious setting, it's like, I don't know about this. And easily digestible. I feel like Dua Lipa's music is like high quality, but it's also like very like popular to the masses, you know, she's not trying to do anything that like goes against the grain. And I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid is also like, she's kind of like, she has like a formula, I feel like, to a like successful and widely accepted or absorbable, I don't know if that's a word, novel. And she kind of follows that formula, and it works out for both of them because they're both hugely successful. And then I said fluff, which is maybe not entirely fair, but I feel like I never really like get anything like super meaningful out of a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel. And I would argue that I also don't like get anything emotionally resonant out of a Dua Lipa album. That to say is that they're both good times. Like Future Nostalgia is like such a good time. And even Radical Optimism, wait, I was gonna say it's a good time too, but in comparison to Future Nostalgia, it's not as good of a time. But Malibu Rising, I actually didn't really like that book, but The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I remember like being into that when I read it like in high school or something. So, you know, they serve a purpose, they like have a niche, and they're kind of in it, and no one is really upset at them because they're just doing what they're doing. And that was a lot of word salad. Okay, next. Katy and Colleen Hoover. I chose this photo because it made me laugh when I saw it, because we have Katy Perry looking like maybe she's constipated, I'm not sure. She's holding a microphone to her face and it looks like she's gonna drop it. Like she just made a really good point. The title of the article says, Katy Perry can fix this. And you know, Katy Perry has famously had a very difficult, I don't know, like 2 years at this point. I mean, she's been having a difficult like year for like a lot of years, maybe since like 2017. But I feel like whenever she released 143, like the public as a collective was just like, all right, we're done with Katy Perry, and they kind of shoved her to the side like violently. And I feel kind of bad for her, but also like not really, because it was kind of her fault. But I paired her with Colleen Hoover, and this is actually I think like the only Colleen Hoover book I've read, or maybe I've read like one other. The Bullet Points. Flop, but inarguably successful. So I feel like commercially, Katy Perry, although not anymore, she was like a juggernaut. I mean, I think she's like the only female artist to have like 5 number ones from an album. She sold her catalog, I think, for like $200 million. And Colleen Hoover also, I think her book sales are like in the hundreds of millions. That might be wrong, I don't know, don't fact check it, but she's hugely successful. And also flop. Like, I feel like Colleen Hoover is like critically like a flop, and I think Katy Perry is also critically a flop. Not for her whole career, but for the later chunk of it. And that's what people are kind of remembering, you know? And then hard fall off. I don't really know if Colleen Hoover has ever had like a fall off, because I feel like her books critically have like been like questionable from the jump. But Katy Perry, on the other hand, I kind of feel like with Katy Perry, like she had a fall off in 2017 when she released Witness, but I feel like it wasn't as maybe like scrutinized because she had like good intentions. So it was kind of like, oh, like she's so adorable, like she doesn't understand what she's doing, but she's like trying to do something. And then Smile came and it wasn't that successful, so I feel like people didn't like pay attention to it. And then when she released Woman's World, it was kind of like the worst of both worlds because, no pun intended, because she was trying to make like a statement, but then like the people she was working with, it was like contradicting that statement. And it was also a bad song. But then I feel like also there kind of was a Katy Perry like hate bandwagon and everyone just started jumping on it in like a way that like I feel like I have not seen in recent years, like a pop girl get like shredded this much. So it was kind of just like the wrong components all together for Katy Perry. And I hate this font. It reminds me of like 2014, which is why I chose it. So that's pairing number 4. Okay, the next pairing is Doja Cat and Melissa Broder. And my bullet points are consistently insane, comedic genius, commitment, and artistic vision. And the reason I chose this is because, okay, Doja Cat's new album is actually really, really good. I think it's her best album, and I've been listening to it like nonstop. But Doja Cat is like, I feel like underratedly like really funny in her lyrics. And this picture and headline makes me laugh. Why Doja Cat ate lipstick on the VMA's red carpet. Like, I wonder what was in that actually. But anyway, it made me laugh. Melissa Broder has released, I think, 3 novels. I feel like I'm starting to like mix the music terminology with like book terminology. Like, I don't know if people say like you release books, like you publish books. Anyway, she has released 3 books, I think. And I've read 2 of them. And I'm actually reading The Pisces right now, which I'm really enjoying so far. But Melissa Broder is also like a really funny author. Like this book, Milk Fed, is about, I read it a while ago at this point, but it's about a like Orthodox Jewish woman who has an eating disorder, and she befriends, or she's like a lapsed Jew, and she befriends this other woman, and it's kind of about their relationship. It's like kind of a lesbian novel, and it's about like her eating disorder and her journey with herself and religion, and it's really weird and it's like strange, but it's really funny and it like works. And I feel like Doja Cat similarly, you know, I feel like people aren't always so sure what she's doing, but she's like committed always to the art, and she hasn't really fallen off because I feel like she's kind of just like too unexpected to do that. Like she's always kind of gonna do something like a little bit new, a little bit stranger than what she did before, and because of that I feel like people are always gonna tune in. And I feel like similarly, like the novels Melissa Broder has released are like kind of wildly different, but they all share that like unexpected like comedic nature. So I feel like she also won't fall off, you know? So that is the next pairing. This one, I don't know, this might be stretching the term of main pop girl, but she's a main pop girl in my heart. And that's Caroline Polachek. And this photo of Caroline Polachek is like perhaps my favorite photo ever. Like this photo does something to me insane. Like it's so good. Like the way her body looks and the window and the like lighting is insane. It looks so good. Anyway, I paired her with Ling Ma, and I just read this collection of short stories, Bliss Montage, and it was so good. It was like the best book I've read in like a few months. It was just amazing. And I feel like she kind of shares this artistic identity with Caroline Polachek because this collection of stories, like every story was kind of like this surreal, like not fairy tale because they weren't, but these kind of like modern situations that she like spun with these like kind of strange like plot points, and like they were very kind of like fairy tale-ish. I don't know, just really surreal and weird. And I feel like Caroline Polachek, like in her songs, in her visuals, she kind of has this like similar like witchy, mystical, artistic vibe. And I feel like they're kind of similar. Like with Caroline Polachek, it's like you're not sure if she is like supposed to be living in this era. Like, is she supposed to be like a Greek goddess? Like a lot of Caroline Polachek's imagery, I feel like, is kind of has that kind of like fairy tale mystical vibe. And there are a lot of good photos of her on the internet. Like I was looking for like a really good photo for each of them, and I saw this, and like I was like, come on, I have to choose that. But I'll put some on the screen. Like there were some other like really good photos of her that I just thought were really good, and also high quality. Like Desire, I Want to Turn Into You is probably my favorite album of the last like 5 years. And this book, okay, I said like it's my favorite book I've read in the last like 3 months, which maybe is like not as high praise, but it was really good. And I read a fair amount of books, so like, you know. Then I put Lorde and Miranda July. This is famously Lorde shushing the crowd. My bullet points are off the beaten path, but low-key kind of mainstream, and sometimes a little overdone, but ultimately very good. This is my favorite Miranda July book that I've read, or collection, because I read all 4s, and I feel like that was really popular, much more popular than this collection. I personally did not like it as much. That is why I put this collection, because I like it more, and I like Lorde a lot, so it felt only fair to put like the best of both. Off the beaten path, but low-key kind of mainstream. I feel like if you tell people you like this Miranda July collection, they're like, oh, like that's a little interesting, like that's a little off the beaten path. Whereas if you tell them you like her other book, they probably have read it, they probably have heard of it. So, you know, kind of like straddling the line between main pop girl status and like Kia Asylum, if you will. Maybe that's offensive to Lorde, actually. I don't think she's definitely not in the Kia Asylum. Sometimes a little overdone, but ultimately very good. There are a few lyrics in Lorde's new album where I like had to take a step back because I was like, all right, this is making me cringe a little bit. Like in What Was That, when she goes, "This is the best cigarette of my life." I had to like take off my earplugs and I was like, all right, I don't think you're like a high schooler at a, you know, at your first party. But it was still good, you know? And that album is really good. It's one of my favorite albums of the year. And this book, I don't know if it was one of my favorite books of the year I read it, but it was still really good. Oh, and there is like an article, I forgot in what magazine, but it was like a Lorde like cover, and it was like a bunch of like artists and like different people like asking Lorde questions, and Miranda was one of the people who asked Lorde question. So I think they know each other in real life, so that makes this pairing feel natural and like sensible. And then finally, this is my last one, we have Addison Rae and Julia Fox. And Julia Fox is someone who could have gone in either situation because she has released one song. It's really good, and I won't be taking alternative opinions on that one. But she also has famously released a memoir, Down the Drain. And Addison Rae, I wanted to choose photos that were like before and after because one of the main things about both these people that I feel like connect them is a glow up. I feel like Addison Rae, like she was kind of publicly like humiliated for like being like dumb. Like there was that one clip where she was like, you don't know she's Asian, she could be Korean. And I feel like that was like kind of dragged, like as it should be, you know? And I just feel like there was also that, you know, there's that video where those girls are like, can I get a picture? And she's like, yeah, let me just like film this TikTok real quick. And I feel like it was camp, but like we didn't see it as camp because we didn't know she was like in on the joke. And maybe she wasn't at that point, like who knows? But then she had this crazy rebrand and is now like a main pop girl, like on the like festivals she's lined up in, like she is like, she's not like top, she's not headlining, but she's like second level, you know? Which is like crazy that she's had that surge in popularity. And Julia Fox, I chose these two photos because I feel like for a long time Julia Fox was like, I don't know, not that interesting. Like she was like a middling actress, which is maybe unfair. The only movie I've seen that she's in is Uncut Gems, but I feel like I don't really remember her like that well in it, like so she wasn't that notable. And then I also chose a fashion moment when she was in that era, and I feel like this is like not great, like it doesn't really totally go together. And I think there's an interview where she is saying, where it's like my life in looks, and she like publicly says that she also doesn't really like this outfit, so maybe that's unfair, but you know. And then I chose this outfit, and the headline is Julia Fox wore rubber gloves, a hairnet, and a thong to the 2025 Grammys, and that made me laugh. And I don't actually know if I like this outfit, but she's had a lot of much better outfits like since that first picture, and I feel like even though it's not like my favorite, it's like still like, it shows she's like making big swings, you know? And I feel like Addison Rae is also making big swings in her career right now. And then I put Julia Fox's book at the top, but I feel like her identity as a celebrity and author and musician is more important than the book she's released necessarily. And then also unexpectedly really good. I feel like I would not expect Julia Fox to write a really good memoir, but she did. And Addison Rae, I don't know if I'd say unexpectedly because, you know, when those demos were like circulating online, like I knew she had the sauce, and it was just like a matter of like timing to when she got it. So that's my final pairing. This was really fun. Maybe I'll do another one because there are a lot more pop girls that I didn't get to include. But yeah, I hope you found this educational and entertaining.